Seeing is believing, right? Well, it's all becoming a bit more complicated. In just the last month, we've seen videos of the Burj Khalifa falling over, US troops held at gunpoint by Iranian forces, and a downed US plane paraded through Tehran, events that racked up millions of views online despite never actually happening. These are just 3 examples of AI-generated fake videos that have gone viral on social media in the weeks following the outbreak of war between Iran, Israel, and the United States. But deepfakes from war zones are far from new. Russia has been deploying them for years as part of its hybrid warfare strategy. I'm Anna Belokur, reporting to you from Kyiv, and today we're going to look at just how much AI has turned video into an untrustworthy form of evidence, and how much we have Russia to thank for that shift. We're going to take a deep look at how AI is changing our relationship to visual media and the way that major events are reported. And later in the video, we'll even address the question that many of you ask every week. How can you be 100% sure that I, Anna, am a real person and not AI? I'm going to start not in the cyberspace of 2026, but in West Yorkshire about a century ago. Stay with me. In 1920, Arthur Conan Doyle, the author of the Sherlock Holmes series, wrote excitedly to his publisher that he had met 2 little girls who had managed to photograph real fairies. The black and white photographs shown by these 2 cousins, who were aged 9 and 16, did indeed seem to depict real fairies dancing in nature, and many people took them as final, hard evidence of the supernatural. It wasn't until the 1980s, over half a century after the photos made the girls famous, that they admitted the fairies were made out of cardboard and the pictures had been staged. Now, to us in 2026, the photos of the Cottingley fairies seem like a pretty weak deception, but the motive behind it is charmingly understandable. 2 kids played a whimsical prank and it got them a lot of attention from adults. But rather than ask how good the photos were, let's instead consider how they were received. At the time, film cameras had only been around for a few decades and they weren't widely owned in rural England, much less operated skillfully by 2 little girls. The idea of trick photography was still foreign to most people. How could someone trick something as physical and objective as a photograph? And why would anyone? The default reaction was to believe that these images were real because the technique and the motive behind fabricating them just wasn't obvious at the time. I bring up this very early example of a media deepfake to illustrate that with every new development that allows users to capture and modify images, whether it's film cameras, camcorders, Photoshop, smartphones, Midjourney, there have always been versions of the Cottingley fairies. Some fake images and videos are meant to entertain, others to frighten, others to create misleading narratives and sway public sentiment. And all of that is to say, the AI deepfakes that we're going to talk about today in the context of Russia's war don't reveal an unprecedented new level of human deception. They're simply the latest development in a long-standing, ever-evolving tradition of people making and sharing fake images. But that's not to say that the implications of AI aren't terrifying. Hyper-realistic video representation of any thought or impulse, easily created on demand by anyone, is the stuff of sci-fi made real, and it has the potential to do long-term damage to the media ecosystem. Before we get into Russia and the AI developments of the last few years, it's important to note the Russian state's extensive history of manipulating videos for propaganda purposes well before the advent of AI. The home television has been the main tool for disseminating information in Russia since the fall of the Soviet Union, and content on the large state-owned channels shows staged scenes of a sanitized Russia, which may or may not correspond with reality, which is why channels like Russia Today are widely seen in the West as Russian propaganda sources, not news outlets. And I just want to quickly reiterate that these state channels are not accompanied by a range of diverse or independent alternatives. If you watch TV in Russia, you're watching state-sanctioned programming. So it's not altogether surprising that Russia has this extensive history of combining news programming with emotional narratives, selective realities, and just straight-up smoke and mirrors theater. It's how we get bloopers of Russian military bloggers giggling at fake explosions during the initial invasion of Ukraine's east.
Украинская сторона начала интенсивные обстрелы, начиная с 5 часов вечера. По состоянию на 21 час они уже успели
and independent investigations into just how many identical palace sets Putin alternates between while claiming to be in the same place. The state pushing staged scenarios as fact should be a major red flag in any functioning democracy. But this is Russia we're talking about. It's not a democracy, and distrust in the veracity of any given piece of media goes hand in hand with that.
So one of the first moves that Vladimir Putin made when he became president was, of course, to sort out control over the television stations, and most famously with NTV, which up until that point had been oligarchically owned, but not always supportive of the president or of the Kremlin. So you couldn't necessarily say it was an ideal free media, but it was not state controlled. So that was one of his first moves. And I think you can draw the line pretty neatly between that and the attacks on, for example, television towers that we've seen across Ukraine. So there's a real understanding of the power of television and the power of visual content. There is a shift in terms of how Russian propaganda, I suppose, functions, or the strategy behind it. We now see that much more used by Russia in the foreign context, so in the Western context, whereas at home it's a much more traditional, modernistic. I mean, you can see from, for example, RIA Novosti's AI images, though I wouldn't suggest anybody takes the time to go and look at them, but the AI depictions, for example, of Ukrainians as rats and as pigs, I mean, it's pretty standard Nazi style propaganda. There's nothing especially playful or Baudrillardian about that approach. But they do still use, I suppose, the more epistemic paralysis. So when you just do not know what it's possible to know, they use those tactics against the West. And sometimes they use them domestically. Bucha was the obvious example. After the evidence came of Russian atrocities in Bucha, you then saw, this flood or proliferation of different messages, different visual images to suggest, all manner of things that were obviously untrue. And for a Ukrainian publication, I probably don't need to go through all of the range of lies that they put out. But they do still use that when they understand, okay, wow, like we've really been caught red-handed here. So let's just make everybody doubt whether or not they can know what is true.
Not only has Russia manipulated and staged videos for propaganda over the years, they've also set people up to appear in videos under false pretenses and then used that footage out of context, which isn't necessarily a deep fake like one might create with AI, but it's still using someone's likeness to perform an action without that person's direct consent. Russia has also been tied to disinformation campaigns involving the platform Cameo, where anyone can pay a fee to receive a personalized video greeting from a celebrity. In one such instance, a group of celebrities, including the actor known for playing Kevin in the American version of The Office, were tricked into filming themselves saying slogans disparaging Moldovan Prime Minister Maia Sandu, whose pro-European stance put her at odds with the Kremlin. Once more, these videos aren't deep fakes per se. They're real videos of real people, but at the same time, their contents are obtained without the subject's full understanding or consent, which renders them at least partially fictitious in the same way that an actor reading lines isn't considered to be speaking their genuine thoughts. You can see just how much easier the invention of AI made these kind of campaigns, cutting out the hardest steps of staging a fake video and making the technology accessible to anyone with a smartphone. At the point in 2022 when Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine, most people's experience with generative AI was limited to something like the DALL-E image generator, where you could put in a simple prompt and get a sort of blurry approximation of that thing made of composite images from the internet, or like a glitchy 1-second video loop. We've obviously come a long way in the 4 years since, to the point where almost anyone can create a high-definition, movie-quality video from a simple text prompt. We spoke with an expert from Reface, a Ukrainian company that builds AI products, to show us what the latest tools can do.
I can show you what was back in the day. This is like a classic method where you can swap the face. I can show you the example how it was done earlier, but in a very, very easy way. So we have a source video like this kind of a thing. What we have to do is to extract the video frame from this video, the first frame. We have a person, target person, who we would like to deepfake. We making like editing this image to get a new first frame video, and then we can just only use swap the character and you can get this. So you can use any person.
It looks pretty real. And is this legal? Like, is you using this woman's photo, putting it on Elon Musk, legal?
This person doesn't exist, so I think I can use this face. But yeah,
If it was a real person.
If it was a real person, yeah, I have to ask permissions first. The newest method, I won't show you the like workflow, but you can see this is like this one. This is an episode from movie, but there is Jim Carrey and it's look insane.
And like, could anyone make this? Like, could I make this?
Yeah.
Even though I don't know how to do any of it now? Like, how
You
hard?
have patience and time, like
How much time?
few clicks. By watching video tutorials on YouTube, you can make it in a few hours, I think.
So I could make like a Hollywood movie quality video in a few hours.
Short video, yes.
Can you maybe talk about how much better the videos are now compared to the ones of 4 years ago?
As for example, there was a video called Will Smith eating spaghetti. It went viral in 2023, I guess. That video was absolutely cursed. It was completely broken, it was weird, cringe and funny at the same time, and probably that's why that video went viral. That video, by the way, became an unofficial benchmark for AI video generations. So if you watch the newest generated videos of Will Smith eating spaghetti, you won't find it funny or you won't find it cringe anymore, because it looks like the real Will Smith eating the real spaghetti.
And now anyone can look like Tom Cruise, whether they look like him or not.
Easy, one tap, magic button. There are a few examples of maybe propaganda videos. It made on ByteDance seed dance model, which was postponed because of Hollywood.
And this is all AI.
This is all AI, and it was all made just from single text prompt.
No images, just text.
No editing, just text. Just one simple text and just one button.
So these people are not real people. They're just...
No, this is not a TV series. This is just
I guess
generated.
the guy had his gun backwards. I guess maybe that's a sign. But
Yeah, there is a lot of mistakes if you would see like by microscope.
But you'd never think if you saw that on TV.
Yeah, but if you, like old people, elder people will see it on TV, they will buy it.
And how long does it take to kind of generate something like this? If you give it the prompt, sort of how quickly is it able to create this?
It depends, but the video like this may take hour or 2 hours. Some much more shorter videos can be done in minutes. Russia, of course, using these tools for propaganda. Now they use a lot of voice cloning and also classic deepfake stuff. Every major platform who allows you to generate AI videos usually does not allow you to create inappropriate content. On the other hand, there is open source world where a lot of uncensored models, and with and basically you can do anything you want, the most unethical stuff, but you need to have serious skills to do it. Not everyone can do it, but I think they have a lot of specialists who can make a lot of deepfake videos.
There's a quick way to face swap this frown with a smile. Become a member of the Kyiv Independent community. Every month, more than 28,000 people around the world help fund our frontline reporting, newsletters, war crimes investigations, and shows just like this. If you'd like to join our community while also getting some cool perks that let you engage more closely with our work, there will be a link to our membership page in the description below. I'd also like to thank everyone who donates directly via YouTube. Your support is so appreciated. One of the first documented instances of AI being used for Russian propaganda occurred in March of 2022, when a hacked outlet, Ukraine24, briefly posted a fake text, not even a video, appearing as a call to action from President Zelensky encouraging Ukrainians to surrender. The fake call to action was not convincing even by 2022 standards, and was immediately debunked by Zelensky himself. But that was an indicator of things to come. In the years since, Russia has used AI for a variety of propaganda purposes. First, there's been a continued use of AI to fabricate news about the battlefield. A fake video might show a fictional Russian victory in battle, or an equally fictional Ukrainian defeat.
Холодно сегодня, как в декабре. Главное, уже отходим. Эй! Мы уходим из Покровска! Ура! Держимся, братья! Дальше только домой.
It's not hard to see how realistic videos of fictional military operations could provoke real military operations from those who see them, to say nothing of the panic they can cause to the public. But in the bigger picture, such videos create a much more urgent and complex need for verification of events. Much like fake videos of AI airstrikes in the Middle East make it hard to know which cities are really under bombardment at any given moment, fake OSINT convolutes the status of the battlefield to outside observers. AI has also served as a valuable tool in Russia's campaigns to discredit Ukraine abroad and lower morale domestically, with viral AI videos painting Ukraine as corrupt, dangerous, and undeserving of support. One particularly striking example was a wave of videos that went viral on social media at the end of last year, which featured totally fake, but still real enough looking, Ukrainian soldiers that were begging for help and claiming they'd been illegally mobilized and sent to die.
Мобилизовала, я еду в часов, Яр. Помоги, не хочу умирать. Мне всего 23, помогите, пожалуйста.
Some of these videos were viewed millions of times and subtitled in multiple languages. The videos played on emotions around mandatory mobilization, a deeply controversial and complex issue for Ukrainians, and sent the message that Ukraine's ongoing defense is against the will of the Ukrainian people, which is simply not true. Many outlets, including us, debunked the videos at the time, but it is inevitable that there are people out there who scrolled away from them with a distinctly negative impression of Ukraine, making it a win for Russian propaganda. The fact that some of the videos in the campaign even went viral with their AI watermark still visible in the corner speaks to the fact that these fake videos only need to trigger an emotional response, not hold up under scrutiny. Ukrainian officials say that the use of AI for these kinds of emotional campaigns has intensified over time. The Center for Countering Disinformation has repeatedly warned people to be wary of new Russian AI campaigns using fake soldiers, fake interviews with people on the street, and AI-generated influencers that can take on the appearance of legitimate news sources. And on that note, how do you know that I, or any other news presenter, isn't AI? I'm sorry to break it to you, but the Kyiv Independent has not spent the last few years channeling its resources into building a robot capable of passing the Turing test. But I will give you the benefit of the doubt. I read the news in the exact same setting every week, with studio lighting that smooths out the texture of my skin and hair. I'm reporting from Ukraine, but I have an American accent, which can be odd if you don't know I'm from the Ukrainian diaspora. And you don't really see me relax during the show. We cut out all the moments where I mess up, I sigh, I fidget, and the final result can seem unnaturally polished, I get that. However, I do wear a variety of fabrics, patterns, and hairstyles week to week that don't glitch when I move around, and my hands and my elbows interact physically with the tabletop and the objects on it. Although we usually film in the studio, you have seen me outside of it, and I'm in plenty of publicly available KI team photos. Fabricating Google results for my name would require the help of 2 universities in different countries, all the outlets I've ever had my work published in, and all of my colleagues. That would be a pretty elaborate plan to start working on years before AI was even invented. And to the commenter who suggested that Anna Belokur is a real person but I'm not, that KI modeled me as a digital copy of her and brings me out when needed, that's an interesting theory that implies that the real Anna Belokur has something else to be doing right now. But all that aside, I ask, how would the Kyiv Independent benefit from using AI instead of a real presenter? The most obvious answers are time and convenience. AI is the best solution for people who are willing to sacrifice accuracy and believability for the sake of ease and speed. AI is useful when you want to convey an idea emotionally, but you don't necessarily need it to hold up on inspection. A fake AI news presenter can be effective in like a short clip designed to go viral on social media, but it would be a really unwise choice for these long-form videos published by the same account on the same platform year after year, which people can examine and compare at any time. It would be a blow to any newsroom's reputation if it were revealed that they were fabricating employees and presenting them to the public as real. Most small independent newsrooms aren't going to go to those lengths to save a small amount of time and money. Bottom line that I'll repeat throughout this episode, when it comes to whether or not something is AI, the first question should be, why? Just because anything can be faked with AI these days in no way means that everything has been rendered artificial. But it benefits propaganda machines like Russia's to exist in a world where everything feels chaotic, meaningless, and fake. Before we move on, I'd like to give a quick recommendation. In 2018, a crew of filmmakers began working on a documentary showcasing Kyiv's growing tech and cultural scenes. A few years later, the ongoing production was interrupted by the full-scale invasion, and the filmmakers found themselves not just showing Kyiv's growth, but its survival. Kyiv of Mine follows ordinary Ukrainians adapting as their lives are reshaped by war. Watch it now at the link in the description below. It's tempting to talk about AI fakes as a paradigm shift, a point where the very nature of reality comes into question. But at least in the case of Russian disinformation, AI isn't changing the game. It's just accelerating the one that was already being played. It's certainly a dangerous new element in the already massive Russian propaganda machine. But the danger of Russian hybrid warfare has existed long before ChatGPT entered the picture, and it's only going to continue growing.
The second point is we need to stop thinking about what is Russia saying and more why does it land in some of our society. So, for example, there are many issues in Western society that Russia is just exploiting. It's not creating them. The fact that there is not trust in institutions, the fact that people don't believe that institutions work for them, or the fact that they don't feel that they spend their money wisely, they are all very, very fair criticisms that Russia is able kind of parasitically to attach to and then make about Ukraine or put in its interests. You see the countries that have the most, or that not just have the highest support for Ukraine, but also where that support has not gone down remarkably over the last few years, also tend to be those countries with the highest level of institutional trust. They tend to be the most immune to Russian disinformation. So there's a broader question, I think, around the health of our societies that we need to address anyway, because very sadly, it doesn't look like at any point soon Russia is going to be especially keen on peaceful coexistence with its other European neighbours. So we really do need to factor this into discussions around societal resilience that we rightly have, but that I do still find quite shallow.
From where I'm sitting, the biggest concern isn't so much whether AI can be developed further to the point where it's completely indistinguishable from camera images, because arguably, we're most, if not all of the way there already. More urgent is the need for audiences to sharpen their discernment against the driving forces behind AI deepfakes. To ask why a fake video was created and shared, not how. Because it's not just Russia, any bad faith actor can use these tools, and the war in the Middle East speaks to the growing ubiquity of fake news presented alongside real news online, and it shows the confusion that ensues. This is a global problem, not only for countries targeted directly by disinformation campaigns, but for everyone who finds themselves lost and confused in a distrustful media landscape. And that's why independent journalism is more important than ever. It's easier to find a few sources you trust and can return to than to wade through an ocean of slop every time you want the latest news. And to everyone who watches this certified human show every week, thank you very much.
Ukraine's general staff has reported about double the number of claimed daily Russian casualties over this week compared to the previous week. With the arrival of spring, it appears that the Russian offensives are kicking off, with the Pokrovsk sector likely facing the fiercest push. But the picture on the Ukrainian side is not great either. Medics and commanders of frontline units told the Kyiv Independent in a recent article about the difficulties of evacuating the critically wounded, with one medic saying that about 80% of the wounded who could have been saved if there had been a timely evacuation unfortunately die out because vehicles cannot get anywhere close to the front.
That's all for this week. We'll be back next Sunday with more news from Ukraine. If you appreciated this video, please consider becoming a member of the Kyiv Independent community. It's truly thanks to viewers like you that we can do this work, and we're so grateful for your support. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. Including members of the notorious such as outgoing President Joe Biden, they're what allows us to to see how Ukrainian defenders. Oh my God. U.S.